I have to do this in multiple drafts, so I think by the time I get it out, it'll be a lot simpler.
Yeah. Okay, so go ahead.
Okay, so the simplest way of explaining the idea of a code repository is that it's an intermediary server between your your workforce computer where you're developing your code and your remote server where your website lives that's attached to your domain name. And in between your server and your terminal where you're working is the source control code repository. And so basically what it means is anytime you want to work on your website, you download the latest version of your source code from the code repository to your machine, and it brings you the latest code, and then you update it, you change it, and then you post it. And when you post it to the repository, there's an interface that lets you tell the repository what you've done. So it lets you add metadata to your changes, basically. And so, oh, I just restyled the contact form, or I just fixed some CSS issues in the lobby or whatever. And then you post it to the code repository, and then it's there on the code repository, and then you use a separate interface to tell the repository to push those updates to the server. And the reason this is a better protocol than just going directly back and forth to the server is that the repository is a hub for many different developers, and it keeps version control track of your source code. So what that means is I can make changes, and you can make changes, and 2 or 3 or 10 other programmers can make changes, and it will track those changes on a particulate level. And if there are conflicts, like if we've edited the same piece of code, it can tell, and it says, are you sure you want to overwrite what Jimmy did yesterday? And when you grab the code before you start working, it automatically gives you the freshest version that everybody else had worked on. So anyway, I just had experience recently using this for postcards, and I was thinking the sooner that the Junto goes into a code repository, the better. Not only because it's a backup of the code, but also because other programmers can get involved autonomously and start helping Dave out with this project. But I don't know if, I just don't know what the proprietary limitations are of Adobe servers and with this Flash technology, and if you can put that stuff in source control, or if you have to use, I don't know, Adobe Bridge or Dreamweaver or some other Adobe product in order to do that kind of stuff. But my intuition tells me you probably should be able to do it. I think you can pretty much put anything into source control. I mean, you could even theoretically put a Word document, any file that can be edited could be version control theoretically. But typically it's built for coding projects.